in the pursuit of truth and common sense in an unbelievable world. You're listening to the Right Mind podcast with your host, Todd Schowalter.
Hello, everybody. I'm Todd Schowalter, and welcome to Right Mind. Today, my guest is Artie Hoffman. He is a psychic comedian, and he's out of New Jersey. How you doing, Artie?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Hey, I got to tell you, I've never had a psychic comedian on the show before. What exactly does a psychic comedian do? Is it more psychic, or is it more comedian, or a combination of both? What is it?
It's a combination of both, but I'm also a medium. I'm a psychic, a medium, a life coach, and I use the word comedian because I keep things on the light side when I deliver my messages. I mean, it's not all just joking games, but I mean, when it's time to be serious, I'm serious. But then when I perform shows, I not only am I delivering the messages, but it's like I also like to throw a little shtick in there too.
Okay, when you say, you're a life coach, I mean, do you go into helping people figure out where they are in their life and where they may want to go, or how's that all work?
Yeah, I mean, there is no topics that I can't help somebody with in their life, whether it be their love life, their medical life, their business life, their kids, their relationships, past, present, and future. I communicate to people's loved ones who have passed away also. I communicate with angels. I communicate with the Holy Spirit. And there are people who at times they'll feel funny talking to me because there have been people who say to me, all right, what you do, it's against my religion, or they'll say it's against God or against my religion. And I say, well, it might be against your religion, but it's not against God, because God's the one who gives me all these beautiful messages to help people. So I playfully tell people, if you're saying that what I do is the devil's work, then I need to shake his hand, because he's helped me heal thousands of people.
I got you. Well, so you mentioned God. I noticed, I read a little bit about you. Most of your work is very spiritual. So when you say spiritual, is that religious, or is it more God related? How do you describe that?
Well, religion is to get you to spirituality.
Okay.
I was raised in a Jewish family, and raised with a religious culture. But as the years grow on, I became more spiritual than religious. But, I 100% believe in God and the angels. And, it's quite interesting. Growing up, I always wanted to become a therapist. Mm-hmm. I was always in tune with people, not psychically, just, good with people and circumstances. And I like to think that I have really good common sense with a way of life. But as life has it, I was never that great at school. I mean, I was very well liked socially. I did great, but as far as scholastics, I sucked at school. Yeah. So, I didn't go to college. But I've learned how to develop my abilities. And I went to a 1-weekend seminar in Virginia Beach at the Edgar Cayce Foundation from a postcard that was sent to me in the mail. And I thought, oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. I thought either you had it or you didn't. I didn't know you could learn about this. So I went away for that 1-weekend seminar, and it literally changed my life forever. So 33 years later, so I got very enthralled with it, and I wasn't looking at it like it was the answer to my prayers. I did it just for shits and giggles, just for the fun of it, just to see if I can do it.
Right.
So people were telling me how accurate I was with my readings when I was doing it just for the fun of it for the first few years. And then I got to a point in my life where I needed some extra money for investment purposes. And so I said, other than doing my regular job, I'm thinking, what else can I do to make some money? And so I said to myself, I said, you know what? I know how to do readings for a living. So I threw an ad in the paper, and it said, if I don't pull through, no charge, because I didn't want people to think that I was ripping them off.
Mm-hmm, sure. So
90% of the people paid me. And the other 10% of the people I had to kill.
Well, that's just a part of the job, I would assume.
It's just a part of the job, right?
But you knew in advance. You knew in advance you were going to kill him, right? Because you're a psychic.
Of course, and I had it all plotted out. I had it all plotted out beforehand.
Right,
So,
right.
but I figured, if I didn't pull through for them, it was just a few minutes shared with them. So, no hard feelings, and just don't turn your back on me.
No, 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 no. Well, you know where I'm going, I assume, too. Well, it's interesting that you said, because I would have thought, as you mentioned, that, you thought, wow, I've got this gift, and you just know you have it. But you're saying you weren't even aware that you were able to do this until a certain point in time, and then you just became enlightened to it. I mean, you actually
Yeah,
learned how to be a psychic. I mean,
yeah.
I
A
mean, how
psychic
does
and
that
a medium.
work?
Yeah. What I did was, I would just look into, like, if I was to read you when I first started, I would
Hmm.
ask you for a picture. Even though you're right in front of me, I would ask you for your picture or
Right.
whoever you want to be. And by me looking at the picture, I would just be able to tell you thoughts and images that were coming into my head.
Okay.
And it was pretty freaking accurate. I got to tell you, it was really accurate. And so, and then I got to a point where somebody once said to me, he says, well, why don't you hold on to, she didn't have a picture on her. So she pulled out her keys and her jewelry. She goes, here, just hold on to this. I go, what do you want me to do with that? She goes, just hold on to it and let me know what you get. I said, I've never done this before. She goes, just do it. And so I held her stuff and boom, 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 boom. I kept telling her things and she was blown out of the water. And she said to me, and it was one of my friend's girlfriend.
Hmm.
And she said to me, she goes, Art, she goes, you're much better than people who I paid a lot of money for. She goes, you're pretty on point. And so, I was kind of impressed with the fact that I was able to do it for somebody just by holding on to their objects and getting their energy. So I just tell people about themselves. It would just random information would come to me. People can now ask me specific questions about their life or whatever, and I could pretty much so tell them what the outcome is. Now, some things are written in stone. It's going to come hell to high water. And
Hmm.
other things, I call it psychic probabilities. Whereas, well, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. If you do that, that's what's going to happen. If you go over here, that's what's going to happen. And they say, well, what do you see me doing? I said, I don't know. I just told you based on your choices what you could expect as far as an outcome comes. Because like I said, not everything's written in stone. So right now, up to date, I've been reading for over 33 years and I've read for over 33,000 people in my life.
Hmm.
And I've done live shows. I've done private parties at people's homes. I performed on Fox TV. I've been on, major radio stations. I've been on, radio all around the country. I've been asked to perform at the Palace of Versailles in France.
Right, right. I
Uh,
saw that. Yeah.
and it amazes me. I take nothing for granted. I never know what I'm going to say until the moment happens. So
Well,
it's pretty cool. And it's like people call me their psychic therapist.
right.
And, like I said, not only do I see insight within their life, but I could also see what's going on in their future. And what's interesting, I never went to college for this because, like I said, I didn't have the patience or the brains for it or the money.
Right.
So I've learned to develop this beautiful gift. And now I have therapists who come see me for answers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And even though I'm telling you, I never went to college, I wrote 2 books. And in one of my books, it says, I went to the University of Boston in Maryland for 2 years, but that was just to visit my friends.
Yeah, right, right, right. Yeah, I think I went to a lot of schools that way, actually. We may have crossed paths. Well, when you do this and say, I knew you looked familiar. When you get together with, say, a total stranger, I mean, I take it that you run into your share of skeptics. I mean, is this like I've talked to a hypnotist before, and they said you've got to want to be hypnotized. Is this something with in a psychic situation where
That's totally different being hypnotized and doing what I do.
Okay,
When
explain that a little bit.
you're being hypnotized,
Right.
you have to let go of control.
Okay.
You have to let go of control. You have to allow your mind to be giving to the person. You have to be trust. You have to trust the person who's hypnotizing you and allow yourself to float, to emotionally, spiritually, mentally float and put your trust into somebody who's a hypnotist. As far as being a skeptic, psychic, from a psychic point of view, it makes no difference whether someone's skeptic or not. If you're challenging me, then yes, I can't read you, because it's like you're closing your energy purposely and you're going,
Right.
go ahead, try to read me. And
Right,
I can't, because your will is blocking the energy. But if you say, no, I'm really not sure of this. No, skeptics are okay, but as long as they have an open mind, say, okay, go ahead, read me, because I've changed. And not that I don't do what I do to try to impress anybody. I don't try to do what I do to try to convince anybody. I just am who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I do my gift, and I connect, and I do. So, I would say 95% of the people I do pretty well with. Can't connect for everybody, but
Sure.
most of the people I do. But no matter how good you are as a psychic or a medium, no one's ever 100%.
No, of course not.
Things are left up into interpretation.
Right. Well, what kind of? I mean, I assume also that you get a wide variety of people to come to you. I mean, what are some of the typical situations? I mean, do you get like relationship questions? Do you get job questions? I mean, what type
Yes
of?
and yes,
Yes and yes.
Those are the two top. Relationship is number one. Job and kids are number 2 and 3. And then what else? And then and then people will reach out as for their health. But I mean, put it this way: I'm no doctor, and I didn't go to Yale or Harvard, but I do give people spiritual advice on what I'm picking up intuitively about their health, and it's usually pretty amazing stuff. And I'm usually right. I even when doctors have been stumped, the spiritual world has fed me information, what's going on with the person. And I've been able to kind of sidestep the medical world to find out what's going on with somebody. I've also helped people locate missing things or missing people, missing objects, whatever. I would say the last interesting thing that I found was somebody's wedding ring that was lost for over 2 years. And they were moving out of the house. And so I sat on the living room couch and I sat there and meditated. And I was channeling Kreskin, who's a unbelievable mentalist.
I've actually seen him. I saw him way back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And so I was channeling his energy. And so within less than 5 minutes, I was able to pinpoint exactly where the ring was. And it was behind the bedroom dresser. I thought it was in the lower drawer, but it wasn't in the lower drawer. So what we did was we moved out the dresser drawer, and underneath the lowest drawer on the floor was the wedding ring.
Oh, wow. That's got to be, well, I'm sure that you were the hero of the day.
I was that day. Yeah, I was.
You talk about like an energy though. Is this like an aura type of thing? I mean, I've heard of different things like that. I mean, how do you identify that? How does that work?
It's literally, it all comes down to blind faith and trust.
Okay.
When you do what I do, when it comes to psychic ability or as a medium, again, a medium is somebody who communicates to people who have passed away, to the deceased. Mm-hmm. And a psychic is somebody who talks about the past, present, and future, and medical and all that stuff. So how do I channel the energy? I have a communication. I have a language with myself and the higher spirit, whether you call it God or the angels.
Sure.
And they send me thoughts and images into my head. And so even though my license plate says I just know, I really don't know jack shit until they start sending me messages into my thoughts, and then I deliver the messages. They make me look good. Right. Did you see the movie Ghost?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. Several times.
All right. So picture myself having a Patrick Swayze giving me all the answers. I'm Whoopi Goldberg, and there's a Patrick Swayze on the other side, and they're feeding me all the information. But the only reason why Whoopi Goldberg knew all what she knew is because Patrick Swayze was telling her everything.
Right.
So it's like somebody going back to the back of the book with all the answers and feeding them to you. So they're making me look good. And they go, oh my God, Artie, you're amazing. You're amazing. And I thank, and I'm grateful, but I'm not taking it in like, oh, I know everything. I'm the one. I'm just grateful that I could channel the
You're kind of the
information.
vehicle, so to speak. It's going through you. The vehicle, kind of. You're
Yeah. So I give credit when credit's due, and it is all from the Holy Spirit and the angels. And I'm always, in my prayers, I'm asking for wisdom and protection, because dealing with so many people, I have no memory of what I say to people, unless if they come to me when I'm in a conscious state of mind, and then they tell me their story. Oh, Art, you said this, you said that came true, that came. So I'll remember it because I'm in a conscious state of mind. But while I'm in a transit, when I'm in a channeling mode, then I tell people things, but I don't remember what I say to people.
okay. All right. Well, you said
And that's for my own protection.
Well, that's good too. I'm sure there's some things you don't even want to remember.
You're right. You're right. And I don't want to be connected to everybody else's heavy duty garbage or junk or whatever, So I give people the answers, and just because they have the answers, it makes it easier for them, but yet they still have to do the work, or they still have to come to an acceptance of what is
right
about their relationships or whatever. There's a girl who was was about to be read by me, and as she was walking by me, I just heard a voice in my head said, "He's not for you." And so I looked at her. I said, "So you're in a serious relationship?" And she goes, "Yeah." And I go, "And you're engaged?" And she goes, "Yeah." I go, "How engaged are you?" And she goes, "Well, we put half down on the hall, on the wedding. I mean, on the band and the food." And I said, "I hate to tell you," I said, "but he's not for you."
Really? And you hadn't even met him yet? Or you did meet him?
I never met him at all.
Oh, okay.
I didn't have to met. The spiritual world was telling me. I was reading the girl.
Okay.
And I felt bad for telling her that, but and so she was very nice in front of me the whole time while I was talking to her. But then when she left the house, she was crying. And so when I got out to take a break, because it was during a party, when I went out to take a break, her friend said, "Artie, Carrie ran out of here crying and stuff." And she says, "We told her the same thing, that her boyfriend or fiance is a real jerk and doesn't treat her right."
Yeah.
And people have a hard time seeing it for themselves. But I did tell her the truth, but I felt bad, but it was something that she needed to hear. But if she did go along with, I don't know if she went along with the wedding, but if she did, I know for a fact it wouldn't last, So, but the ego is always going against the soul. You have the ego and you have your soul, and the ego is actually stronger than the soul, but the soul will always tell you the truth. And when you are not paying attention to your own soul, when you're not paying attention, your body will respond by getting headaches, breaking out with the skin, getting sick, because you're not paying attention to the biorhythm or what's in rhythm with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so your ego is trying to justify everything. No, it's okay. You should stay, or don't rock the boat. You don't want to cause an argument, or, oh, because of the finances, because of the kids, just stay. Your ego is justifying why everything's okay, but your soul is screaming, but I'm not happy and something's not right. So your ego and soul is battling, but it's very important that you listen to your soul more so than your ego, because your soul will always guide you. It's just like the adage, like, "Oh God, I should have listened to my first gut instincts."
Right.
How many times did you go against your instincts, and you say, "Damn, why didn't I listen to my gut instincts?" Because you wanted what you wanted, but it wasn't meant to be.
So, and that's interesting, because it comes down to almost like they say, listening to your heart instead of your head. I mean, sometimes you'll have an intuition that you'll sometimes possibly try to override just through your own thought process, when you knew all along in your gut that this wasn't a good decision. Is that what you mean?
Something isn't right. When something isn't right, it's not right.
Right.
And
So,
it is what. Did you ever see the movie Life or Something Like It?
No, I haven't. No.
That's the name of it. Life or Something Like It.
Okay.
It's with Angela Jolie. I promise you're going to love that movie. If you like the movie Ghost, I promise you will love that movie. And that will explain a lot of our conversation. And
Okay.
it's truly interesting. I never get tired of watching that movie. It's a very, very interesting movie and very truthful in so many ways.
Hmm.
And like I said, it's called Life or Something Like It. It's worth seeing.
Okay, it brings me back to what you were just saying, though, and I'm sure it has something to do with the movie. But when you say that you're a psychic, but you're also almost like a therapist, or are a therapist, I
I
should
am a
say.
therapist.
You
Yeah.
are a therapist, correct? So, do you use? I mean, do you guide people then to possibly identify what's in their heart, or what's in their gut, or what they truly feel, as a way of knowing what their true wants are? I mean, so is that what you do? And rather than actually say predict what the future is going to be, I mean, do you say, well, based on where your heart, what your heart is saying, and based on what your mind is saying, if you do this, this is going to happen, or vice versa? Does that make any sense? I mean, do you actually guide people to listen to their heart instead of their head?
Yeah. One of my gifts, or one of my greatest gifts, is that I give people back their power.
Okay.
I give them a healthier perspective of what's going on in their life. And I help them rewire their way of thinking of how they view themselves when dealing with other people's relationships and boundaries. So whether you're talking about you to your kids, you to your lover, you to your coworkers, you to your family or your friends, a lot of people put themselves behind the eight ball at their expense. They'll do everything according to other people's expectations, but they won't do what's always best for the overall good or what's best for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
because they're always trying to satisfy the moment based on other people's expectations. And that's not the healthy thing to do. So I'm very good at taking people's emotions of how they feel, and I put words to it. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, without them expressing anything, when I'm in a deep reading with them, I'm able to tell them exactly how they're feeling or what's going on. But I don't always know physically what's going on. But I know from an emotional standpoint, I see you're very upset. I see you're not treating the situation like there's a situation you're dealing with where it's not going to work out in the way that you want, and you keep on trying but things aren't going your way,
Mm-hmm.
or someone's BSing you, and you keep on allowing someone to take advantage of you. So like I said, I don't always know who it has to do with, but I know you're dealing with these circumstances, and so then I start giving them back their power on how to handle them or the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times your happiness comes from coming from a place of acceptance of the situation. It is what it is. It
Mm-hmm.
really is what it is, not necessarily what you want it to be. Or when you're dealing with certain people in your life, whether it be your partner in life or business partner, whoever, you have to accept them for who they are. I'm not you have to like it, but as soon as you accept them for who they are and stop trying to change them, you could change how you choose to deal with them so that they are not affecting you in a negative way, or you're not disrespecting yourself or walking away feeling bad or feeling negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I help people change their perspective on how they could look at the person or the situation. And it all has to do with coming to a place of accepting them for who they are, and not you wanting them to be how you think they should be. You're
Mm-hmm.
not accepting them for who they are. You're trying to manipulate or to change them how they should be. And you're always frustrated with them, but that is their personality.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are not willing to compromise with you to try to make something better or a situation better, then you have to decide, well, are they compromisable where you could work things out? And if not, then you have to choose to let them go, even if they've been around you forever or they mean so much to you. But if it's totally working against you, then why are you doing this to yourself?
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So it's almost as if you not only, predict you from a psychic standpoint, predict the future, so to speak. You can help them change their future if they make certain adjustments to listening to their heart and things. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's more important for me to rewire someone's way of thinking, to look at things from a healthier point of view, and not just for themselves, but for the overall circumstances of what they're dealing with. So therefore, right away, their future starts to become much better, because now they're starting to make healthier choices rather than, reliving the loop from the past of doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're breaking a negative legacy that has been carried on from generation to generation, or from relationship to relationship, that you've always been allowing in your life that doesn't work for you.
Sure, sure. And that sounds, on a therapeutic level, again, that's a lot. When we first sat down and I read about you and stuff, and I read, psychic and things. You bring a lot more to the table. Again, you're able to actually help people, change their outcomes, not just, so if you tell me something and I'm not really happy with it, I'm not destined to do it if I make some changes, correct?
Exactly. Things don't have to happen according to when you first meet me. So, in other words, if I was just to become a psychic, somebody comes to see me and they're coming to me just as a psychic, and I didn't do the rewiring thing or help them look at things from a healthy perspective. If I just told them psychically what I saw happening, being that they're not changing anything within their life, then yes, a lot of bad things could happen. So to avoid all these bad things to happen, it's a game changer. And of 33,000 people that I've read, over 33,000, I don't know the exact amount, but it's way up there. I'll tell you my favorite reading of all. Yes. A gentleman comes in to see me. He calls me up. And normally people have to wait a little bit to see me. And this guy had fear and desperation in his voice. He was very low key. And he goes, Art, I need to see you. He goes, I'm not doing well at all. And I said, all right. He said, can you see me right away, please? And I said, sure. I said, come to my place tomorrow afternoon and I'll see you. So we made this specific appointment, and he came in, and he was very pleasant, very, low key. And he sat down. We sat down in my kitchen, and I was talking. I didn't know what I was going to say to him. I was just talking at the top of my head. And I started talking to him about the meaning of life and the meaning of his life. And I gave him a really good, healthy perspective on his overall life circumstances. Now, why was I talking the way I was talking? He didn't even say a word to me, what was going on. But I don't know. I just chose the words that I did to express to him about how beautiful his life is to be, and how what a wonderful what a meaningful life he has. And I helped him look at things from a different perspective, and about God and about spirituality and everything. Now, after his session was over, he gave me a great big hug, and he says, Art, thank you so much. He goes, you saved my life. He says, you're a lifesaver. Now, a lot of people show me appreciation afterwards, and I took it with a grain of salt. I said, oh, it's my pleasure. You're welcome. He goes, no, Art. He goes, you really did save my life. He goes, I wrote a suicide note and I was going to kill myself tomorrow morning.
Oh, wow.
He says, but after listening to you, he goes, I don't want to do that anymore. He goes, I want to live. And he goes, I'm going to make some changes in my life, but I feel much better now. Thank you.
Wow. Well, and again, I think you brought to the table, there's a lot more that you bring than, psychic readings and things like that. It sounds like, just from the therapy standpoint, there's huge value in that right there. You mentioned you've written 2 books. Would you like to talk about the books a little bit, or how we can get them?
Yeah, one is called Angels and Answers.
Okay.
All right, and that was my first book.
All right.
Angels and Answers. I explain about the depth of life. I explain the meaning, or why things happen the way they do, why good things happen to bad people, why bad things happen to good people. I explain about religion. I explain about spirituality. I explain about saints. I explain about angels. I talk about deep subjects, but I explain everything on a very simplistic manner so everyone understands. I don't talk on a very high intellect level. I wrote the book wanting everybody to understand the meaning of life and the purpose of why we're here. And why God allows a lot of things to happen that we're not happy about. But there is a reason behind it, and how we have choices that we could change things by not just the world, but also our personal life. Now, that's the first book, Angels and Answers. The second book is called Have Your Angels Call My Angels.
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
And that book is about relationships, and it's about building your self-confidence and your self-esteem. It's about you creating boundaries for yourself, not allowing other people to take advantage of you. So this is about your relationship with you and God and the angels. It's about you and your relationship with your lover, with your kids, with your friends, with your coworkers, and your relationship within you to you, within yourself. So again, I talk about a lot of deep topics, perspectives, and from all the readings that I've done, I've taken the topics that mean most to people. So when I wrote these books, I could literally say, you are literally, and I promise you, you're going to think that I wrote this book specifically for you. And you're going to have a lot of aha moments like, oh my God, I didn't realize this, or wow, this makes sense. This makes sense. A lot of times you go to church or you go to temple, and yeah, you're saying your prayers, but you're reciting it. You're not really feeling it.
Right.
And like,
Right.
and a lot of times the sermon will go on. It's like, I heard what he said, but I'm having a hard time grasping, that concept. I'm having a hard time understanding, like, well, then why is this and why is that? After you leave the church or temple, or after the priest or the rabbi just did an incredible sermon. Now, some things are very like enlightening, and other things it's like goes way over your head, or like it didn't make sense, but it makes you feel good because you did go to church or temple. But it's very important to understand why you're saying what you're saying, or the meaning of it, and not just to recite it. If you want your prayers to be very powerful, it's important to feel the words and to visualize the words that you are saying, and not just reciting it. So the difference between religion and spirituality: religion is other people's experiences. Spirituality is your own experience.
Right. I couldn't agree more on this. I mean, I'm not really much of myself. I'm not much of a church going person anymore, but I feel I'm very spiritual. And I think I've become more spiritual.
And that's more important.
Yeah.
To be more spiritual than it is to be religious.
I couldn't agree more. Well, are your books, are they available on Amazon or through your website?
Yeah, you can get them on Amazon. Yeah, and as myself, the writer, Artie Hoffman.
Okay.
But also if you go to artiehoffman.com, you can get it on my website. And it makes a difference to me which way you go, as far as to get the books. But yeah, and then if people want private readings, whether it be in person or over the phone, I'm in New Jersey, Central Jersey. And I also do parties, and I also do events and fundraisers. But if you'd like to have a private reading over the phone, or any other way, my number is 732-778-7173. And I'll repeat it, 732-778-7173. And also you can email me, artiehoffman@gmail.com. And me or my assistant will respond to you.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, again, you've brought a lot more to the conversation than I expected. I mean, it goes much deeper, and it certainly makes you, at least it makes me think a lot more than I did prior, because, I have all these thoughts as well. And I, too, am one of these people that says, what's my heart thinking? It sounds like you're able to kind of decipher all that and help people avoid things, or at least go into the right direction that they probably should, I should say, correct?
Yes, very much so. There's a difference. When people say to me, well, if you're such a good psychic, what am I thinking? Well, that's a mentalist. I don't read people's minds.
Right.
A mentalist, like Kreskin the Great, he's a mentalist. He reads people's minds, and he could channel the energy that way. Whereas for me, I'm not a mentalist. That's a difference between a psychic and a medium, So it's funny. So I'll tell you a funny story if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
So here I am. I'm at a pizzeria, right? A local pizzeria. And there was a couple of beautiful girls that were there, and I haven't seen them in a while. And they come up to see me. Now, the guy behind the counter, Mr. Guido himself is looking at all this, and he sees the girls coming up to me, and I'm eating and I'm talking to them and, being a little flirtatious back and forth. And I'm giving them some information because they know who I am and what I do. And so the guy's looking at all this and he's never met me before. So what's this guy all about? He says, he hears me say a few things. He goes, what's this guy all about? So anyway, I go up to the counter afterwards and I go to pay for it. And he goes, what are you, a psychic? You say you're a psychic or something? I go, yeah. He goes, yeah, then what am I thinking? I said, I know exactly what you're thinking. I said, you're thinking the reason why I'm talking to those girls is so I can manipulate their minds so I can get my way with them and be with them. And so I can get in their pants. That's what you're thinking. He goes, damn, you're good.
Well, I was going to ask if you had something to finish up with on a funny note, and you did right there. So, and I'm pretty sure that, like you said, that 99% of the other people out there in the same situation would be in the same boat, correct? So maybe we all have a little bit of psychic abilities. Artie, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, you brought a lot more to the table than I anticipated. Any last or final words before we cut out tonight?
The one big thing, I'm going to say two things.
Sure.
The fire that's within you should always be stronger than the fire that surrounds you.
I like that. That's very true. Because
and the love and respect that you give to other people is the love and respect that you deserve in return.
I like it. Do unto others, so to speak, as you would have done to yourself. I like it a lot.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much, Artie, for being on the show today with me. I really appreciate it. I hope to talk to you again. We'll put up on the screen and we'll put in the description of different ways of getting in touch with you. It certainly has been informative, and I've certainly learned a lot. And hey, I have a few questions for you maybe after the show. We'll see. Okay.
I think I can help you just a little bit. If you
okay.
Want, I can help
Thank you.
A little bit.
Maybe give me a discount. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see.
Sure,
well, everybody, thank you for joining me again on Right Mind. I'm Todd Schowalter, and remember, if you don't have a right mind, you don't have a mind at all. Till next time, bye-bye.
This has been the Right Mind Podcast with Todd Schowalter.